You check your phone again 10:59 a.m. The same time it's been showing for what feels like hours, just like every clock in this place. Hey guys! Tonight we're diving into a story that'll make you think twice about those vintage roadside motels with their neon signs and promises of reasonable rates. Picture this, you're driving through the middle of nowhere, your GPS suddenly dies in a dead zone, and the only accommodation for miles is a place that looks like it was plucked straight from 1962. The kind of motel where the ice machine hums a little too loudly and the carpet patterns could induce seizures. You think you're just getting a cheap night's sleep, but what if I told you that some guests have been trying to leave for decades? The Stardust Motel sits like a forgotten relic on Highway 50. Its pink and blue neon sign flickering against the Nevada desert sky. The Stardust Motel announces itself with a vintage sign that belongs in a museum, complete with a smiling cartoon rocket ship and the promise of color TV and air conditioning. Not a single other vehicle in sight, yet warm light glows behind several curtained windows. Behind the counter stands a woman in her 50s, wearing a pristine uniform that looks like it was pressed yesterday but designed 40 years ago. Her smile is genuine, her eyes bright, and there's something almost relieved about the way she greets you. That's when you notice the other guests. 3 of them sitting patiently in the orange vinyl chairs with suitcases at their feet. An elderly man in a polyester suit, a middle-aged woman clutching a handbag, and a young guy who might be college-aged wearing bell-bottom jeans. They're all perfectly still, staring at the large clock mounted above the reception desk. You park near the office, noting how the neon sign casts everything in an otherworldly pink glow that makes your skin look like you were already dead. Time just moves a little differently here at the Stardust, nothing to worry about. But it's clean, the air conditioning works, and there's something oddly comforting about the simplicity. You sleep better than you have in months. The desert silence broken only by the gentle hum of the air conditioner and the distant buzz of neon. The building itself is a perfect time capsule, single story, painted that specific shade of turquoise that screams 1960s, with white metal doors bearing room numbers in that classic atomic age font. The friendly staff will check you in with a smile, hand you a real metal key, not one of those plastic cards, and cheerfully remind you that checkout is at 11 a.m. sharp. But here's the thing that'll keep you awake tonight. Every single clock in that building has been frozen at 10:59 for the past 40 years. She slides a registration card across the counter. Just need you to fill this out, and I'll get you settled in room 24. And in the lobby, patient as statues, sit former guests with their packed suitcases, still waiting for that final minute to tick by. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. Trust me, you'll want to remember. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're 3 hours into what should have been a 5-hour drive to Reno when your phone loses signal completely. The GPS screen goes black, leaving you with nothing but endless asphalt stretching ahead through the Nevada desert. The sun hangs low and orange on the horizon, casting long shadows that seem to reach across the road like fingers. That's when you see it, a flash of pink and blue neon cutting through the growing dusk. Your car crunches over the gravel parking lot, which is surprisingly empty for a place that looks so well maintained. The office door chimes with an actual bell as you enter, and you're immediately hit with the smell of coffee that has been sitting too long and that particular mustiness of old carpet. Welcome to the Stardust Motel, honey, we've been expecting you. The lobby is immaculate, orange and brown furniture that matches the era, wood paneling that gleams under fluorescent lights, and a coffee table stacked with magazines from decades past. 10:59 a.m. Don't mind them. Clerk says, following your gaze. They're just waiting for checkout. Shouldn't be much longer now. You glance at the clock again. Still 10:59. Is that clock broken? Her smile never wavers. Oh no, honey, it's working just fine. Room 24 is exactly what you'd expect from a vintage motel wood paneling. A bed with a geometric orange bedspread, and a bathroom barely big enough to turn around in. You wake naturally, feeling refreshed in a way that surprises you. After showering and packing, you head to the office to check out. The same clerk is behind the counter, wearing what looks like the exact same uniform, her smile just as bright as the night before. Good morning, honey. Sleep well. I'd like to check out, please. Of course. Checkout time is 11 a.m., and you're right on schedule. She gestures to the clock above her head, 10:59. You stare at it for a moment. That clock. It showed the same time last night. Did it? How interesting. Time has a way of playing tricks on us, doesn't it? The three guests from last night are still in the lobby. Same chairs, same positions, same suitcases. Their clothes look freshly pressed, their postures unnaturally perfect. She glances at the clock. One more minute, and they're all watching the clock with the patience of people who have nowhere else to be. She opens a ledger book and flips through several pages. Let me just process your checkout here, but it looks like you're not quite ready yet. That elderly man's skin has a waxy quality, like it's been carefully preserved. The woman's lipstick is perfect, but her eyes are glassy and unfocused. Mrs. Henderson arrived in the spring of '89, and young Kevin came to us just before the millennium. They're all very patient guests. The college kid's hair is styled in a way that went out of fashion decades ago, but there's not a strand out of place. How long have they been waiting? You ask. No more schedules, no more pressure, no more time slipping away from you. The windows don't have handles, and through the glass, you can see your car wavering in the heat. It's natural to resist change. But look how patient they are, how peaceful. No stress, no worry, no fear of what comes next. But now it looks dusty, abandoned, like it's been sitting there for years. The mechanism behind the glass is elaborate and wrong, moving in patterns that hurt to follow. And there, at the center of it all, is something that doesn't belong, a small brass key. Just the minute and our hands. Frozen in place like they've been waiting for something that never comes. The brass key is warm too. The touch and vibrates with contained energy. The three guests are watching you now, and for the first time since you arrived, their eyes show awareness. Oh, not long at all. Time moves differently for everyone. You know, what do you mean? I've packed everything without the time lock. This place will collapse back into linear reality. Everyone here will experience all the time. They've missed that once. We wouldn't want to make an exception when everyone else is waiting so patiently. She's not human anymore. Her skin is translucent, showing clockwork mechanisms beneath. And her eyes are tiny clock faces with hands spinning wildly. Checkout isn't until 11 a.m. And we still have, you look at the clock again, still 10:59. You watch for the second hand. There is no second hand. This is ridiculous. It's clearly past 11 a.m. Now, no need to get upset. Rules are rules, and checkout time is 11 a.m. sharp. You turn to look at the three guests again. Up close, you notice details that make your skin crawl. How long have they really been waiting? You ask again, your voice quieter now. Mr. Patterson, they're checked in during the Carter administration. The words hit you like ice water. Decades. They've been sitting there for decades, waiting for a checkout time that will never come. This isn't real, you whisper. Reality is subjective, honey. What's real is that you're here, safe from the outside world and all its demands. You try the door. but it won't budge. The previous guests had the same reaction at first. The clerk continues. You study the clock again, looking for any detail you might have missed. That's how you do it, you breathe. The key in the clock. That's what keeps time locked in place. The clerk's face transforms with fury. You don't know what you're doing, she snarls. Will they? Or will they finally be free? You don't wait for an answer. You climb onto a chair and reach for the clock. Please, Mr. Patterson whispers, please help us. You turn the key. The effect is immediate. The clock face explodes in a shower of glass and gears, and suddenly time moves forward like a dam bursting. 10:59 becomes 11 o'clock, then the numbers blur together as time accelerates. Her human facade crumbles like old paper, revealing the clockwork mechanism beneath. She was never a person at all, just part of the motel's temporal trap. The clerk screams not with her voice, but with the sound of grinding gears and breaking springs. The walls are fading, becoming transparent, and through them you can see the real world, the desert, the highway, the actual ruins of a building condemned decades ago. The Stardust Motel is letting go, releasing its hold on this pocket of stolen time. But the three guests aren't dying as she predicted. The building doesn't collapse, it simply stops being, fading like a mirage until nothing remains but foundation stones and desert wind. On the ground where the office used to be, you find a small brass plaque. Stardust Motel, 1962 to 198, where time stands still. Instead, they're becoming more human, more alive. Those moments when we're so tired, so overwhelmed by deadlines and obligations, that the idea of stepping out of time altogether becomes genuinely appealing. The promise of rest, of peace, of a place where the clock stops ticking and we can finally catch our breath. In the rearview mirror you see three figures walking along the highway, not hitchhiking, just walking together, experiencing the simple joy of forward motion. It's what gives weight to our choices, meaning to our relationships, and urgency to our dreams. Without time, we become like the guests in their eternal loop, preserved but not really living. The most beautiful gift we can give ourselves is the freedom to choose our own relationship with time, not to fight it, not to hide from it, but to accept it as the river that carries us toward whatever wonders await downstream. They wave as you pass, looking older but more alive than they ever did during their decades of perfect preservation. You can rush through your day fighting against time's current, or you can learn to move with it, to dance with it, to treat it as a partner rather than an opponent. Feel time moving through you and around you, not as a burden but as a blessing. Let it carry away the day's worries and tomorrow's anxieties, leaving you here in this perfect, peaceful moment. Color returns to their faces, and their eyes fill with decades of suppressed emotion. Thank you, Mr. Patterson says, his voice strong and clear. Thank you for giving us back our time. The motel itself is changing around you. You all walk outside together. Your car starts. Immediately, the GPS springs to life, and you drive away. The GPS shows 2 hours and 45 minutes to Reno. You settle back and let the miles roll by. You have time. What is our relationship with time? Are we its master or its servant? And when we feel overwhelmed by the constant forward rush of existence, what choices do we really have? Wind down, closing. And so our journey through the Stardust Motel comes to an end, but like all good stories, it leaves us with questions that linger long after the final word. The truth is, we all encounter our own version of the Stardust Motel from time to time. But the story of the Stardust reminds us that time isn't our enemy, it is what makes everything matter. The next time you find yourself checking the clock anxiously, remember that you have choices. Time is flowing around you right now, carrying you forward into whatever comes next. So close your eyes now and listen to the gentle passage of seconds. You're safe now. But just in case, don't look behind you. The bus rattled to a stop, kicking up dust that hung in the too bright afternoon sun like golden smoke. You stepped down onto cracked asphalt, the excited chatter of your classmates suddenly muffled by the sheer, oppressive silence of the place. Her flashlight beam cut weak sways through the gloom under the decaying grand archway. Stick together, she called, her voice echoing unnervingly in the vast emptiness. Gone. No sound, no struggle, just absence. Panic flared. Then Jake vanished, one moment arguing about directions. The next, only his abandoned backpack marked his spot. Emily tried to call out, a choked gasp escaping her throat before silence swallowed her too. You spun, heart hammering against your ribs, alone, utterly alone in the skeletal embrace of the roller coaster. The footsteps returned, closer now, deliberate, circling. You turned, and there she was. Mrs. Carter stood at the coaster's base, pale as moonlight, her eyes hollow voids. Her mouth moved soundlessly. Mrs. Carter, your whisper was lost in the vast silence. She didn't speak. She simply turned and began walking up the service stairs beside the track. You followed, compelled by dread and a desperate need for answers. Higher and higher, the air grew colder. Whispers swirling around you, fragments of names, please, some familiar, some terrifyingly alien. She gestured towards the dilapidated Ferris wheel, its gondolas hanging like rotten fruit, the cracked mirrors of the carousel reflecting distorted, fragmented versions of yourselves. And the monstrous, rusted roller coaster dominating the skyline. Don't come any closer, her voice was a fragile thread on the wind, the whispers intensified, coalescing into a chilling chorus. You won't escape. Not this time. Then abrupt silence. Blinking, you found yourself standing in the dusty parking lot, the sun glaring down. Your friends, Sarah, Jake, Emily, clustered around you, faces etched with concern. What happened? Sarah asked, voice shaky. 1 minute you were with us, and the next, you opened your mouth. But words failed. All you could hear were fading footsteps. You don't belong here. Before you could react, she stepped backward into nothingness. Your stomach lurched. You lunged forward, expecting the sickening thud, but silence, peering over the edge. You saw only her sensible shoes, placed neatly side by side on the platform below. And touched by any fall, the truth crashed over you like icy water. That wasn't Mrs. Carter. It was something else, something ancient and hungry, woven into the park's decaying fabric, feeding on fear. We'll split into groups. 30 minutes. Meet back here. A ripple of unease went through the class. The park felt less like a history lesson and more like a trap. The abandoned amusement park loomed before you, a graveyard of forgotten joy. Its shadow fell cold and heavy, the ground beneath your feet unnaturally frigid despite the sun. Guys, Emily whispered, her voice trembling like a plucked wire. Did you hear that? Everyone froze. Footsteps, soft, deliberate, crunching on gravel somewhere ahead. But when you looked, the path was empty. Probably just an animal, Jake offered, but his voice lacked conviction. As you moved forward, the footsteps echoed again, this time from asterisk behind asterisk, whirling around, revealed only your own group, surrounded by decay. Then, cutting through the silence, Sarah, Jake, where are you guys? Mrs. Carter's voice. But you'd asterisk seen asterisk her leading another group towards the haunted house attraction. Confusion warred with a rising chill. We're right here, Sarah shouted back, her voice cracking. Only silence answered, the phantom footsteps fading away. Rust devoured the skeletal frames of roller coasters, their tracks twisting skyward like the broken fingers of giants. The air tasted stale, thick with the scent of rotting wood, stagnant water, and something else. Something like old sorrow and dust. Padlocked gates, inexplicably wide open, seemed less an invitation and more a gaping maw. Mrs. Carter, your teacher, her usual cheerful demeanor strained thin, herded everyone through the entrance. You found yourself with Liam, Sarah, and Jake. drawn towards the colossal roller coaster. That's when the vanishing began. A sudden, icy gust of wind whipped dust into your eyes. When it cleared, Sarah was simply at the summit. She stood at the very edge, staring down into the dizzying abyss below, her expression pure, unadulterated terror. Stumbling back, you tripped, scrambling down the stairs. Later, sleepless in your bed, the feeling clung, the certainty you'd left something vital behind in that decaying labyrinth. Mrs. Carter's hollow eyes haunted the darkness behind your eyelids. The unsettling legends whispered around town, teenagers vanishing decades ago during a field trip. Bodies never found suddenly felt less like campfire tales and more like warnings etched in blood. Passing the carousel, its shattered mirrors reflected distorted versions of yourselves. In one, a tall figure in a dark coat stood behind you. Whipping around revealed nothing. "You're seeing things," Jake muttered unconvincingly. Then, the footsteps returned, not solitary now, multiple. Dragging, running, circling from all directions. And then the voices erupted, a chaotic, overlapping cacophony. "Sarah, Jake, where are you guys?" It was Mrs. Carter's voice. Liam's, Emily's, Jake's. Yours, a horrifying chorus of familiar tones calling names. Sarah whispered. This isn't real, but the terror in her eyes betrayed her. These weren't just echoes, they were memories, fragments of past victims trapped, reliving their final, terrified moments. The legend of the missing teens flooded back, chillingly real now. The footsteps grew louder. Closer, a presence hovered just beyond sight. The wind died, utter silence descended, thick and smothering. Then a single, whispered word slithered through the air, freezing your blood. "Found you." Locals spoke of hearing their voices calling for help after dark. Only the decaying park bathed in the dying sun's eerie glow, shadows stretching like spilled ink. Emily grabbed your arm, nails digging in. "We have to keep moving." A sudden gust answered, making the coaster groan like a waking beast overhead. The whisper came again, "Found you." This time, layered, high-pitched panic, guttural growls, disturbingly familiar tones. "What the hell is that?" Jake breathed, eyes darting wildly. Sarah pulled you forward. The entrance, now as you turned. Movement snagged your eye at the coaster's base, a figure, tall and possibly still, watching. Its posture was wrong, limbs too long had tilted unnaturally. It didn't walk. It slid soundlessly across the ground. The group froze. It tilted its head, studying you. Then it smiled, a slow, grotesque stretch revealing to many. "Two sharp teeth. Welcome back," it said, the words vibrating through the air. The park reacted. Rides creaked, broken lights flickered weakly, and the carousel began playing a warped, funereal version of ***************. Emily gasped. The creature's head snapped towards her. It vanished, then a scream piercing, raw, ripped through the silence from **behind **you. Whirling around, you saw only empty space where Emily had stood. "Emily!" Sarah shrieked, spinning. "Nothing. We have to find her," Jake yelled, fists clenched. "But you knew. You'd seen it take her." It hadn't walked away. It had disappeared, like Mrs. Carter, like the missing teens. The park wasn't haunted. It was alive, and it was hungry. Experts debated serial killers, cursed land, or unstable foundations. You knew better now. The park wasn't just abandoned, it was alive, and it had tasted your fear. Back in the suffocating silence, after Mrs. Carter's disappearance, panic was a living thing clawing inside your chest. The park felt watchful. The sunlight a painted lie offering no warmth. Mrs. Carter's shoes mocked you from the ground. Sarah's concern cut through the dread. "Liam, are you okay?" You tried to explain the impossible. The fall, the vanishing, the warning. "She was with us 5 minutes ago." Jake insisted, eyes wide with denial. "No," you whispered, the words scraping your throat raw. "She called your names, from over there." A shiver ran through the group. The creeping dread was mutual, a cold hand tightening around all your hearts. Sarah looked towards the towering coaster. We have to go back, find her. She's not there, you stated. The certainty chilling. She's gone. Jake argued for telling someone, but the bus was long gone. Cell signals dead, only you, your dwindling group, and the predatory silence of the park remained. The wind sighed, rustling dead leaves, and then faint but unmistakable, her voice again, drifting from the park's depths, not calling your name, calling there's asterisk. Sarah, Jake, Emily whimpered. Did anyone else hear that? Terror locked them in place. We stick together, Sarah commanded. Her voice tight. Find her, get out. But the park had noticed. It knew your names. Escape felt like a naive dream. Moving deeper, the cold intensified. Shadows stretched unnaturally long, grasping like dark tendrils. The ground seemed to pull at your feet, the word cold around you. Venomous and cold, you spun, heart a frantic drum against bone. Nothing. The atmosphere shifted palpably, alive, breathing, watching. The suffocating silence pressed in, broken only by the carousel's distorted, mournful tune. Emily was gone. The thing was near. Emily. Sarah cried again, voice cracking. Jake grabbed her. Stop. You'll get us taken. Move. Now. Sarah didn't argue, hugging the walls. Liam followed, eyes wide. The lake matched the mirror's vision, surrounded by infinite reflecting surfaces. Some showed you frozen in the haunted house. Others showed you running, screaming. One showed you lifeless. Staring blankly, Liam stood on the shore. You're not real, he whispered. Horrified. What? You choked. Treading water. I saw you in the mirror. Back there. But you're here. Which means. He didn't finish. You understood. Reflections, echoes, copies, multiplying, and some were hostile. Sarah and Jake appeared beside Liam, confused. Then, Emily's weak voice. Please, help me. She floated nearby, eyes closed, face deathly pale. And moving. You swam towards her. Instantly, the reflections shifted. One showed a monstrous version of you grabbing Emily underwater, forcing her down, drowning her. You stopped, paralyzed. Was it real? A prophecy, a lie. Experts theorized about fractured minds under extreme fear, creating believable alternate realities, or gateways to dimensions where reality unraveled, trapping victims in loops of terror. The truth was simpler, more horrifying. You weren't just fighting the park, you were fighting the reflections that spawned from your own fear. Lose, and you'd become one of them. Frozen forever in this dark, reflective abyss. Another echo in the lake of no return. The cold water leached your strength. The warped reflections mocked you, and Emily's lifeless form drifted just out of reach, a silent accusation in the heart of the hungry park's most terrible secret. The haunted house felt sentient, hallways stretching, ceiling lowering, air thickening, a new sound, water dripping, steady ahead. You exchanged a look with Sarah. Following it led to a chamber littered with broken props. And there it was, a single, intact mirror, polished, gleaming, reflecting not you, but Emily, standing behind you in the reflection, mouth open in silent terror. You spun, nothing. Back to the mirror. Emily was screaming soundlessly, hands pressed against the glass, clawing desperately, trying to escape or pull you in. Liam stepped closer. What the hell? Sarah reached out. Real. Before she touched it, Emily's image shattered. The reflection changed. A vast, dark lake stretched endlessly, surrounded by hundreds of mirrors. Each reflected a different version of you and your friends, some normal, others horrifically warped, stretched, and wrong. Impossible. Jake breathed. But it was The park was revealing its secret, its trap. A faint voice called from within the mirror. Help, Emily, trapped. Liam leaned close, breath fogging the glass. How do we get her out? You reached out, fingers trembling. The mirror's surface rippled like disturbed water. Suddenly, you were falling, not physically, but mentally, asterisk into asterisk the reflection, into the lake. Sarah wrenched free. She's our friend. And shouting makes us targets, he snapped. Your throat was sandpaper. Liam finally spoke, barely audible. Shelter. The haunted house, asterisk the house of whispers, asterisk, loomed. Its faded sign creaking, the least safe option felt like the only one. The door hung ajar. Jake pushed it. Hinges screamed. Cold, damp air rushed out, smelling of mildew and something metallic. Inside, flickering lights cast jagged shadows. Mannequins in grotesque poses lined the walls, one decapitated, its head staring blankly. Creepy, Sarah muttered, every sound amplified. Gravel underfoot, dripping water, electrical hum. Then a laugh, soft, faint. Ahead, silence, another laugh. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, dragging, pressed against the wall, barely breathing. The footsteps grew louder, echoing, then stopped. Hello. A low male voice, familiar yet utterly asterisk wrong, asterisk. Jake peeked around the corner, stumbling back. Pale, someone's there. Who? Sarah demanded, looking at us. You leaned cautiously. At the hallways and stood a figure, tall, thin, tattered school uniform. Its face shifted, a boy from class, a stranger with hollow eyes. Then, asterisk you asterisk, your own face stared back. Lips parted in a silent scream. You recoiled. You saw it, Liam whispered. Nodding felt like moving stone. What the hell? Jake breathed. The truth was undeniable. The park wasn't just taking people. It was twisting them, using them, turning them into broken reflections. You were being remembered. Soon, you'd be reflected. The image of your own terrified face burned in your mind. Jake yanked you back, icy water engulfed you, dragging you down. You kicked, surfaced, gasping.